live from the Moda Center in Portland, Oregon, USA. The camera comes on with a shot of the live crowd in the Crypto.com arena in Los Angeles, California. As pyro goes off around the stage area, Violet Orlandi's cover of Black Sabbath's War Pig starts to play through the arena. Generals gathered in their masses. Just like witches at black masses. Evil minds that plot destruction. Sorcerer of death's construction. In the fields, the bodies burning. As the war machine keeps turning. Death and hatred to mankind. Poisoning their brainwashed minds. Oh Lord, yeah! Politicians hide themselves away. They only started the war. Why should they go out to fight? They leave that role to the poor, yeah. Time will tell on their power minds. Making war just for fun. Treating people just like pawns in chess. Wait till their judgment day comes, yeah. Now in darkness, world stops turning. Ashes where their bodies burning. No more war pigs have the power. Hand of God has struck the hour. Day of judgment, God is calling. On their knees, the war pigs crawling. Begging mercy for their sins. Satan laughing, spreads his wings. Oh Lord, yeah! The new Warzone logo comes up onto the screen as it does a flyby, as if by a drone to then cut to the CWF announcers at ringside. The camera pans to the announce table. Ben and Eddie are interacting with the crowd. They are taking selfies with fans. Ben realizes they are live on camera and he motions him towards the camera. Ben Price, hi, welcome to CWF Warzone from wonderful Portland, Oregon. Have you seen the lineup tonight for the show, Eddie? Eddie Vega, yes I have, and it's probably going to be one of our most stacked cards from top to bottom in a long while. Ben Price, we have an amazing main event. Ira Waters puts the CWF Valor Championship on the line against Abigail Dresden. Now that should be amazing, especially after what Miss Dresden has done since arriving in CWF. Eddie Vega, we've also got a tag title match between those weird-ass clowns that were in catering and those Reinhardts. I think this will be a great match. Ben Price, oh, and don't forget later tonight we've got an announcement from the former CWF Valor champion Frank Windsor. Eddie Vega, yeah, I wonder what that is about, especially with his luck lately. Eddie Vega, so what have we got first? Ben Price, we're supposed to be going backstage to talk to the guys that seem to have lost the Midas touch. Eddie Vega, what? Ben Price, last season was all about the Bastards, but after the season premiere they've been a bit lackluster. Eddie Vega, okay. Ben holds his ear as he's hearing something on the headset from backstage. Ben Price, oh, wait, it seems that I'm getting word from the powers that be. It seems that we were supposed to be hearing from the 3 members of the Bastards, but due to some technical difficulties we're going to be going straight into the first match. Eddie Vega, technical difficulties? Is that what we're calling it? I know the Bastards had a few home truths for the management to say earlier this month. Maybe this is their punishment? Ben Price, would the management be that petty? And will they let Frank have his say later? Anyway, I'm getting word that we're to go straight to the first match. Eddie Vega, what's going on? Ben Price, I don't know fully, but that means coming up next is Wicked Cat Hale taking on a wrestler who has become known as the CWF's mascot, Lady Lana Hill. Eddie Vega, Cat Hale impressed us in her debut last Warzone, let's see if she keeps that momentum going. Ben Price, let's go to Eric in the ring. Eric Wilson, the following contest was scheduled for one fall. Featuring first the challenger, hailing from Grand Junction, Colorado, she is Wicked Cat Hale. The lights begin flashing green, blue, and red as the initial jingle of Nemo by Nightwish starts. Cat delays hitting the stage for those initial 7 seconds. She comes out wearing a black leather jacket that stops at her mid-drift, and she comes out with high energy. Throwing up the rock and roll devil horns a few times. Before moving to either side of the stage to engage with the crowd. Pointing towards them and then starting to make her way down to the ring. She'll continue interacting with fans near the ramp, high-fiving and occasionally pausing to throw up devil horns with other members of the audience. She makes her way to the south side of the ring, jumps onto the apron, and throws her hands out to either side to pose for the audience. Then, slipping under the middle rope, moves to the opposite end of the ring. Climbing onto the middle rope of the turnbuckle, she'll rock up and down with her head down, covering the top rope until rising, flipping her hair back over her shoulders, and posing with her arms spread once again, pointing to members of the audience. At last, she steps down, strips off her jacket, and sits on the top turnbuckle to wait for her opponent. Ben Price, she's a skilled and certainly energetic young woman. Eddie Vega, she's beat up the Easter Bunny so far. Don't get your hopes up. Ben Price, she's been in the ring before. I looked at old tapes of her to make that statement. Eddie Vega, I see how it is. Nerd. Eric Wilson, and her opponent, hailing from London, England, Lady Lana Hill. Shoot to Thrill by AC/DC begins playing as two bodyguards, Mark and Fred, walk out from the back. They scan the layout of the land before they reach back to open the curtains to allow Lady Lana through. They make their way down to the ring where Mark and Fred open the ropes for Lana to be able to step through and into the ring. Ben Price, Lady Lana ready to take on Kat Hale. This should be a good match. Eddie Vega, top of the card to the bottom. I guess it happens. Ben Price, she did well in her match against Ira Waters, but she lost in the end. Eddie Vega, she should have tried her hand at, censored, like Eddie and Abigail did. She would have beaten half the roster. Ben Price, yeah, true. But it's probably for the best. Eddie Vega, I mean a few easy wins would have done wonders for her confidence. As the bell sounds to start the match, Kat Hale hops down from the turnbuckle and meets Lady Lana Hill in the center of the ring. She smirks at Lana before locking up with her. They go back and forth, pressing each other across the ring before Kat breaks the hold and whips Lana into the ropes. She goes flat on the rebound, letting Lana pass over her to rebound off of the other side. As Lana comes back, Kat hops up and hits a diving clothesline that nearly turns Lana inside out. Both get right back to their feet, but Kat knocks Lana back a few steps with a spinning elbow. Kat goes right to the ropes and comes back to nail a running crossbody that brings Lana down to the mat. She hooks a leg right quick for the cover. 1. TW Lana kicks out. Kat gets right back up and watches as Lana gets to her feet. She whips Lana into a corner and follows her, leaping up to the second turnbuckle. She looks ready to hammer home some right hands when Lana plucks Kat off of the corner, carries her a couple of steps before landing an inverted atomic drop. Kat's eyes nearly bulge out of her head from the impact, and now Lana goes to the ropes. On the rebound, Lana nails a clothesline to send Kat to the mat. Kat hops right back up, but a hard right hand finds her in the side of the head to stun her before Lana whips her into the ropes and hits a running turnbuckle thrust that knocks the wind from Kat's sails. Lana sits Kat up onto the top turnbuckle and climbs up with her, getting Kat into a front face lock. Ben Price, what's Lana looking for here? A DDT from the top rope? Eddie Vega, that could end the match right there. Lana doesn't land the move as Kat squirms out of the front face lock and shoves Lana off of the turnbuckles. She stands up, waiting for Lana to get up, and hits a missile dropkick. She then pulls Lana up and wrenches her arm, driving her back to her knees before releasing the hold and hitting a super kick. Kat goes to the ropes, but then falls flat onto her face from the rebound. The bodyguards, Mark and Fred, stand back from the ring as if innocent, but you know one of them grabbed her by the ankle. Referee, Troy Reynolds, walks over and looks at them with an imperious gaze, but he didn't see their hand reach out, so he doesn't know for sure they did it. Lana stands up and pulls Kat to her feet, pushing her into the ropes and hitting several knee lifts before sending her across the ring. Lana follows and goes for a spear as Kat impacts the ropes, but Kat gets out of the way so that Lana sails through the ropes to the outside of the ring. Mark and Fred rush around the ring to her side to check on her. Ben Price, I believe she can fly. Eddie Vega, I believe she can touch the sky. Mark and Fred get Lana up to her feet, making sure that she's all right while they do so. Lana is nodding her head and looks to the ring with wide eyes as Kat sails through the ropes and takes all three of them down. Kat is up first and rolls Lana into the ring, following. When Kat stands up, Lana takes a wild swing at her which misses. Kat hits a Blue Valley Thunder Bomb that she calls the Rocky Mountain Bomb and then locks in a modified crossface, where she pins the arm of the opponent backward between her legs while wrenching the neck. Lana wastes no time in tapping out and Kat breaks the hold and jumps to her feet to get her arm raised by the referee. Eric Wilson, winner of the match via pinfall, Wicked Kat Hale. Kat Hale makes her way to the back, celebrating her win with the fans while Mark and Fred get into the ring to check on Lana. Ben Price, Lana fought hard here, but missing that spear really did her in. Eddie Vega, yeah, that was a risky move and it would have paid dividends toward victory, but tonight was just not her night. Ben Price, I'm told we're going to the back here for a moment. The scene opens up to show the backstage area where the wrestlers arrive. A blacked-out Chevy Suburban pulls up. Eddie Vega, holy shit! Is the president coming to watch the show? Ben Price, I think there'd be a few more Suburbans if that was the case. Eddie Vega, feds then? Ben Price, well, we have been told about some funny business that went on during collaboration with Censored and Censored. Eddie Vega, yeah! Those bastards stole money from us and used it to try and steal talent from us. Ben Price, you're just pissed you didn't think of it. Eddie Vega, that is pretty much true, yeah. The door in the rear opens and Valora steps out. She wears her fedora hat, a black business suit with white pinstripes, a purple shirt under the suit and a black tie. As she exits the vehicle, she straightens her suit and lets out an annoyed sigh. Valora Salinas, look like a goddamn banker. Samantha steps out of the car and rolls her eyes. Samantha Topher, you do not look like a banker. Valora raises an eyebrow. Valora Salinas, yeah? What would you say this suit more closely resembles? Samantha opens her mouth to reply and remains silent, shaking her head. Samantha, I do have a couple answers, but think I'll remain quiet for now. Valora looks at her and nods. Valora Salinas, Abigail? Samantha Topher, dealt with. The buyout clause was deposited. Course that is not the end of censored legal issues. Valora nods and sighs once more. Valora Salinas, I'm glad I have you. Looking at the numbers on that report was a fucking headache and a half. Samantha lets out a soft laugh and nods. Samantha Topher, aha. You understand more than you let on. Further commentary is cut off as Alyssa comes up to the pair of them and looks at Valora. Alyssa Lucci, all right. Who are you and what have you done with the real Valora? Valora smirks and shrugs. Valora Salinas, you might notice that fearless leader has, in his infinite fucking wisdom, decided my services as a wrestler are not needed tonight. That frees me up to watch wrestling, evaluate the talent, and have a few business meetings. As for the monkey suit, Valora points at Samantha. Valora Salinas, that's all her fault. Samantha rolls her eyes. Samantha Topher, yes, it truly is too much to ask that you look like a professional. True or false, the monkey suit helped you earlier? Were they not highly impressed? Valora shrugs. Valora Salinas, honestly? Dunno. I can never tell what those financial and investment types are thinking. Samantha Topher, translation, you get paranoid and jump to conclusions about what they're thinking. Valora waves her head dismissively and Alyssa clears her throat. Alyssa Lucci, what type of business meetings are we talking about? Valora sighs, this time the deep, sad sigh, matching the look on her face. Valora Salinas, you will all find out next Warzone. I have an announcement to make. One that I don't really want to make, but feel I have to make. Valora pushes forward and walks into the arena, leaving Alyssa and Samantha in camera shot. Samantha shrugs and looks at Alyssa. Samantha Topher, you'll find out next Warzone, I suppose. Unless Armand or someone tries to push it up. Samantha heads into the arena and Alyssa turns to the camera. Alyssa Lucci, interesting developments afoot, here guys. Ben Price, you said it, Alyssa. Valora definitely seems to be working on something big. Eddie Vega, is pushing things up an option? I don't want to wait until the next Warzone. Damn it! Fed UPS day or night. For when you need it, they're right TF now. The camera comes back to our announcing team. Eddie Vega, well, tonight is starting off with a lot of mysteries. What had actually happened with Censored and CWF? Why is Valora Salinas in business mode? Ben Price, well, I've been given a note that later on tonight, Armand von Kraus will come out and let us know some answers on part of that. Valora Salinas will let us know next week. You'll just have to get answers with the rest of US Eddie. Eddie Vega, okay, well, what match is next? Ben Price, it's on the papers in front of you. Up next is the match that we hear might be determining who will get a shot at the Valor Championship next Warzone. Eddie Vega, oh, it's time for the first of 3 bastards tonight. Come on, Eddie, let's get that Valor title shot. Ben Price, well, let's go to Eric in the ring. Eric Wilson, the following matchup is scheduled for 1 fall with a 10-minute time limit. Introducing first, coming in at 6 feet 2 inches and 250 pounds. He hails from Melbourne, Australia. He is the Paragon Larry Lansdowne. The lights in the arena dim as the loud beginning of My Name is Thunder begins. A few flashing white lights go off around the roof and stage as the tempo builds up. Once the guitar hits, the lights come up and the words "The Paragon is the business" appears on the screen. As we hear the lyrics, "I'm a white light that's burning, right across your sky," the Paragon Larry Lansdowne appears at the top of the stage. He throws his arms wide open, basking in the light before making his way down to the ring. He gets into the ring, climbs onto the turnbuckle and puts his hands up in the air acknowledging the crowd before hopping down, game face on and ready to go. Ben Price, the Paragon from Down Under, is getting his biggest test tonight so far in the CWF. Eddie Vega, biggest test? He beat Demo Nick in his debut at Urban Warfare. Ben Price, well, I actually can't default on that comment. But Eddie Williams has been on a hot streak here, and over in Censored and Censored. If not for the current troubles, he'd be coming out here with 3 titles right now, including their big 3 Fed wide hardcore title. Eddie Vega, don't remind me. Ben Price, what? Eddie Vega, my bookie, Air, the sports book near the new offices in Vegas. They're refusing the payout until proof of CWF sweep airs or we get some proof of how the matches went. Ben Price, that sucks, man. The ramp starts to flood with smoke. A figure appears in the entranceway with his arms crossed. A series of fireworks go off along the top of the entrance ramp. The light adjusts back to normal. Havoc starts to walk down the ramp. Eric Wilson, introducing at this time, his opponent, coming in at 5 feet 11 inches and 215 pounds. He hails from Cambridge, Essex, England, representing the Bastards. This is Eddie Williams. He slowly and methodically makes his way toward the ring, bathing in the reaction of the fans within the arena. Eddie enters the ring standing with his arms raised and fireworks go off from the 4 turnbuckles. Walking over to the furthest turnbuckle and climbs up to the middle rope. He looks out across the crowd. As his music dies down, he waits near the corner, pacing back and forth ready for the match to start. Eric Acosta Alvarez does the regular check for both wrestlers and takes an extra moment with Eddie Williams after past alleged infractions by him and the other Bastards. She then signals for the bell. Ding! Ding! Both men come in, looking like they're going to lock up, but Williams feigns the lockup and injects a European uppercut instead. He then pushes Lansdowne to the ropes and moves to whip him to the other side, but he holds on and turns it around into a huge short arm clothesline. Ben Price, Eddie Williams starting off strong. Eddie Vega, the man has just had the run pulled out from under him on multiple titles in that other place. I almost feel sorry for Mr. Lansdowne tonight. Williams comes up and hits the ropes to then come off with a snapping elbow drop that looks to hit Lansdowne right in the solar plexus. He tries to hook the leg and go for a quick count. Eric Acosta Alvarez is quick to drop down for the count. 1, Lansdowne kicks out at 1. Williams moves quickly to pull Lansdowne up by his hair. He snaps a kick to his midsection and then pulls him into a double butterfly hold. Before he can hit the DDT, Lansdowne squares his legs and feet to block it and then takes Williams over in a back body drop. Lansdowne, hooked in the double underhook from the butterfly hold, goes back with him, adding some extra impact to it. Ben Price, Lansdowne gets a huge counter there, breaking Eddie Williams' chain. Lansdowne rolls and comes up first. He looks to see Williams is coming up and sprints to the ropes. He comes off with a shoulder block that rockets Williams back to the corner. Lansdowne then comes in hard, with a lariat to the corner, but Williams ducks out of it and turns it into a couple of thrusts into the turnbuckle, targeting the larger man's back. Eddie Vega, come on Eddie! Ben Price, Eddie Williams is not letting up tonight. Eddie Vega, the belt collector, had all his belts taken from him due to some shitbag screwing him over. He puts down this Australian newbie. He finally gets a Valor title shot. Lansdowne suddenly catches Williams, one arm trapped to his side, and turns out of the turnbuckle and then takes Williams over with a huge belly-to-belly suplex. He doesn't try to go for a pinfall yet. Both men come up to their feet quickly. Williams snaps another European uppercut, but he gets one right back in return that turns him around. Williams holds his jaw, favoring it after the impact. Ben Price, that European uppercut just snapped Eddie Williams' teeth together. Lansdowne sets up, and when Williams turns around, he gets another European uppercut, this one with some flair and power on it. Williams almost falls back, but Lansdowne grabs him and hooks him up for a pump handle small. He lifts Williams up as high as he can, to then slam him down onto the mat. He hooks a leg and tries for a pinfall. Costa Alvarez is right there, sliding into place. She takes a moment to check Williams' shoulders, but she signals they're down. 1, 2. Williams kicks out. Lansdowne pulls Williams back up. He pulls his head in between his legs and pulls him up for a powerbomb, but gets his eyes raked on the layup. Williams falls to his feet and heads for the ropes. He comes off with a chop block that drops Lansdowne to one knee. Ben Price, and the smaller of our combatants, getting his momentum going again. Eddie Vega, Eddie Williams, is probably the most all-rounder in the Bastards. He can go aerial, a little power, some striking, and grappling, ready for anything. Williams comes up quickly, keeping his momentum. He hits the ropes and comes off with a snapping DDT while Lansdowne is still down on one knee. Williams doesn't go for a pinfall yet, and he rolls right over onto Lansdowne's back. He tries to lock in his version of the camel clutch. Eddie Vega, yeah, make him tap out. Ben Price, this move is not just painful, but also humiliating. As Williams tries to get things situated, and tries to hook his fingers into Lansdowne's mouth for it, the larger man works his way to his knees. He then grabs Williams' legs and starts to stand up. Ben Price, the Paragon, is powering his way out of it. Eddie Vega, a show of strength from the Aussie. But will it be enough? Lansdowne comes up to his feet. He then moves so his arms are under Williams' legs and pops him up onto his shoulders into an electric chair setup. Williams tries to bend forward, maybe going for a roll-up. Lansdowne appears to block it and flip Williams off his shoulders and across a knee for a huge backbreaker. Ben Price, that one looks like it hurt. Eddie Vega, looks like Eddie is going to regroup. Williams rolls, heading under the ropes, and starts to walk around on the outside, holding his back. Lansdowne takes a moment to get a breather and watches Williams on the outside as Costa Alvarez starts to give Williams the warning about being on the outside. Ben Price, well, Eddie Williams is the one doing a walkabout tonight. Eddie Vega, that was a poor joke about one of them being from Australia. Larry Lansdowne slips under the ropes and starts to come at Williams. They go halfway across the ring, and Williams slips under the ropes to get back into the ring. Lansdowne is right behind him, but takes just a moment longer to get back up to his feet while Williams is heading across. Ben Price, I think that was a lure by Eddie Williams. Eddie Vega, of course it is. Bastards 101, always try to get the advantage any way you can get it. Williams comes off the ropes, but Lansdowne meets him early, snapping him over into a huge power slam. He doesn't try for a pinfall and gets up quickly to get ready for when Williams recovers. Eddie Vega, huge power slam from the newcomer. Ben Price, well, Lansdowne might be new to the CWF, but he's not a rookie. Lansdowne appears to be lining up for something, holding his hands out like he's trying to use an old-fashioned camera. Williams starts to come up to his feet. Ben Price, Lansdowne setting up for the freeze frame. Lansdowne moves in for the freeze frame and hooks Williams by the head for it. But Williams pushes him away, spins around, and then nails him with a Pele kick that hits him right to the back of the head. Eddie Vega, holy shit! That was right on the mark. Ben Price, that it was Eddie. Williams is first up, moving smoothly to get over and pull Lansdowne up. He pulls his head in between his legs, and lifts up partially, and hooks his arms around his legs. He doesn't get the second arm hooked, but quickly drops down in his inverted belly to back slam, FKA the Fall of Havoc. Eddie Vega, Fall of Havoc. Ben Price, he doesn't call it that anymore. Eddie Vega, what does he call it then? Ben Price, I don't know. But it might be called a pinning combination. Williams uses the ending position of the move to roll Lansdowne over to his back and hold on to try to get a pin. 1, 2, 3. Lansdowne kicks out, but just too late. Ben Price, kick out. Eddie Vega, 1 second too late on that. Eric Wilson, the winner of this match, Eddie Williams. Ben Price, and that makes it official. Eddie Williams gives the Paragon his first mark in the L column and maybe secures a Valor title shot for next Warzone. Eddie Vega, well deserved for a man who was recently robbed of titles from other feds. Ben Price, something we can agree on, actually. But we need to toss this to a commercial after that matchup. We'll touch you in the same place a real girl would. In your wallet. The show comes back with the announcing team front and center. Ben Price, we've had such a great show so far. You all right, Eddie? Eddie Vega, I'm a professional, why do you ask? Ben Price, it's the look on your face. Eddie Vega, what? Cameras pan around the sea of anxious people who are cheering loudly at the showing of respect towards CWF. Suddenly, the cheering explodes as the loudspeakers crackle, all attention devoted to these very special proceedings. A large British flag unfolds and hangs majestically down the side of the big screen, each ear expecting to hear the music of Frank Windsor. The big screen started to show all sorts of British iconic sights. Children playing in the streets, football matches, police in the streets. The first few bars of Hello by Adele blares out before it seamlessly mixes into Welcome to the Circus by Five Finger Death Punch. Brilliant silver strobe lights flash through the arena as rainbow-colored confetti falls from the rafters. The screen now goes to show footage of Frank in his silver Mercedes convertible cruising the streets of Bradford, Yorkshire. Ben Price, the former CWF Valor champion, is coming out here. I hope he's in a better mood than he was when we saw him earlier. Eddie Vega, duh! Stating the obvious. He's pissed off as he thinks like the rest of the bastards are being disrespected by someone in the front office. Maybe it's you that disrespects him? Ben Price, shut up. I've always been a fan of the bastards, but you must admit that their luck seems to have been running out lately. The curtains at the top of the rampway are pushed open and they emerge. The fans give a mixed reaction as Frank pushes through the curtains dressed in his leopard print fur coat with Sean Bean just behind him. Natalia Santiago, Little Ronnie and Finn Corbin walks through the curtains after them. Frank saunters down the rampway, eyeing the crowd. Finn, Little Ronnie and Natalia enter the ring. Windsor exhales slowly as he looks at his team in the ring before smiling and acknowledging the fans in attendance with a royal wave. He reaches the ringside area and uses the stairs to ascend onto the apron. Looking around momentarily, Windsor mounts the turnbuckle adjacent to the stairs, resting his left foot on the top rope. With a brief bow, Windsor lowers the hood of his leopard fur coat and gazes around the facility, soaking in the numerous reactions from the crowd. Upon listening to their calls and looking over at his associates, Windsor hops down into the ring and takes off his fur coat and hands it to Finn. He then stands as Natalya grabs a microphone from the ring crew and hands it to him. Frank Windsor, so the management back there have once again told me that if I was to be given a live mic that Frank Windsor cannot swear out here. They have told me that if I did that I would be fined as it risks them money from sponsors and shit like that. He walks around the ring and Finn holds his hands up and shrugs at him. Frank Windsor, whoops, sorry about that one, it kind of slipped the fuck out. Oh damn, not again. Do they think they can control Frank Windsor with their little controlling ways? He walks up to the nearest camera and flips the bird. Frank Windsor, is the greatest wrestler this company has ever had, but seeing who's come before that's not saying a lot, is it guys? I ain't got much competition other than my bastards brothers, have I bruv? Natalya Santiago, have you seen that locker room? I used to run with Valora and know she's talented but not as good as you, honey. She has them lining up outside of her locker room, I heard, but the company keeps paying for new knee pads, right? Finn shrugs as Frank shakes his head. Frank Windsor, so why is Frank Windsor out here, I hear you call? Oh, yeah. With those powers that are making rules, Frank Windsor has had a decision to make, and maybe it's time to let you all know, including those bitches watching at Gorilla with bated breath, bruv. Finn smirks as Frank continues to walk around the ring. Frank Windsor, last season when I defeated that German bird for the CWF Valor Championship belt, I promised that I would be the greatest Valor champion that this company has ever seen, and I did just that, but that brings a great responsibility. Finn claps at this decree by Frank. Frank holds his hand up. Frank Windsor, now that I've completed my responsibilities with that belt, I was told I had to hand it back in and have gained a shot at any belt that I want to. I could just go for the Valor Championship and start the whole process up again, bruv, as I am the greatest Valor champion of all time. He turns to the crowd and motions for them. Crowd, fact. Frank turns back and smirks at Sean. Frank Windsor, but where would the fun in that be, especially as I want them fuckers in the front office to sweat a bit because of my decision? Now where's the fun in that? Natalya squeezes his shoulders as she nods. Frank Windsor, after tonight's match when Robbie and I beat the Pacific Rim Jobbers, we're going to get a shot at the actual tag champions, so that's off the table, bruv. Maybe I should just go for that belt Valora has around her skank waist? That belt would look good over my shoulder after it had been scrubbed a lot, mate. Natalya laughs as she leans over the ropes. Ben Price, now that is controversial. Why is he bad-mouthing the CWF Elite Champion? Frank Windsor motions for the cameraman to bring the camera in close. Frank Windsor, I said I was going to make an announcement tonight, bruv. Get that camera in close. You want an exclusive? Eddie Vega, who is he going to say? Frank Windsor, so CWF Shadow Wars is coming up soon, right, bruv? At the last pay-per-view the bastards got fucked over, and now I'm going to fuck over CWF's transitional champion. So, at Shadow Wars you will see the greatest wrestler in CWF's history, Frank Windsor, in a match for that championship belt that hangs around the waist of another German in this promotion, the Conquest Champion. Eddie Vega, wait, what? Frank Windsor, yes, Frank Windsor versus Cronin for the Conquest Championship. The challenge is in your corner, champ. If you've got bollocks you'll accept, if you don't you'll prove that your balls are in the hands of someone in the front office, bruv. He drops the microphone to the floor and winks at the camera, before heading back through the curtains. Ben Price, how's the champ going to take that? How's the former champion Rob Riott going to take it? Eddie Vega, how are the front office going to take this, and he still has a match coming up? Ben Price, speaking of which, I'm being told we're moving to the match right now. Eric Wilson, the following matchup is a tag team match and is scheduled for one fall. Introducing first, representing the upstarts. The arena's lights fade and dim as heavy native beat drums start to play. A woman's voice starts up as the spotlight shines up onto the stage. Two people, one much bigger than the other, are there, covered in what can only be called native-inspired dancing robes. The smaller one's costume looks like some sort of bird. The larger one, his mask looking like a large fish or whale. Both start to dance, traditional moves to the beat, and head down to the ring. Jerky movements from the smaller one, simulating that bird, and more flowing moves from the larger. Eric Wilson, coming to the ring, hailing from Ketchikan, Alaska by way of Oahu, Hawaii, coming in at a combined 465 lbs. They are the fraternal twins known as the Sea Raven and the Sea Wolf, Kelia and Akhlot Flonot. Pacific Rim. Both dance down to the ring until they get to the ringside area. They stop and then pull off their masks and hand them to attendants at ringside. Both then remove their robes in a flourish, roll them up and put them with their masks in the attendants' arms. They then both jump up to the ring apron in unison, but that's when the twin part ends. As Kelia does a ring rope-assisted somersault into the ring, her much larger brother, Akhlot, slowly climbs between the second and top rope. Ben Price, the now former tag team champions, having lost those belts to the Reinhardts back at Urban Warfare. Eddie Vega, and we've heard that Ms. Kelia, my favorite part of Pacific Rim, is downright scared of Kara Reinhardt. And she should be. She scares me too. Ben Price, well, everyone seems to be saying that the winner tonight will become the #1 contender for the tag team titles to challenge for them next. Could Pacific Rim be on the road to reclaim those titles? Eddie Vega, the only reason they had them in the first place was because their opponents tonight had decided to not be in the tournament for them. Ben Price, they are facing the Bastards tonight, with the two men who were in the Star Chamber match. Eddie Vega, and also one is the man who just challenged Cronin Reinhardt at Shadow Warfare for the Conquest title. Ben Price, let's not forget that we all know that Rob Riott should be coming out here with the censored Triple Crown Championship as well. Which means if Armand von Kraus is going to keep his word, Rob Riott should be getting that shot as well. Eddie Vega, the Bastards are the best, man. Get used to it already. Eric Wilson, and their opponents. They come in at a combined weight of 470 pounds. Hailing from Bradford, Yorkshire, England, and Blackpool, England respectively. They are the Sultan of Schlong-style Frank F.N. Windsor and Rob Riott, the Bastards. The electronic opening to Manson's Take It Easy chicken pipes into the arena, shortly followed by the scream of the opening guitar riff. It's Bastards time. Red, white, and blue lights pick out the entranceway as the crowd stands up, waiting to catch a glimpse of the Englishman. Some of them cheer, some of them boo, but all of them react. The curtains part as a battered old Ford Cortina messily careers its way through the curtains, coming to an awkward stop at the top of the ramp. After a moment, the Bastards taking part in tonight's matchup, Frank Windsor and Rob Riott, step out of the back, taking a second to mug for the crowd. Satisfied that everybody's got the photo they wanted, they nod to each other and then charge the ring, sliding in through the bottom rope. Leroy Wallace calls the two teams to the center of the ring and runs down how he's supposed to call the match, but nowhere near as thorough as his fellow referees. He then tells both teams to get ready and pick one to start off and sends both teams to their corners. Rob Riott climbs between the ropes, as well as Kelia Flonot. Ben Price, looks like the Sea Wolf and Frank Windsor are going to start things off for us. Eddie Vega, well, that means we have Kelia Flonot up in front of us here in her corner. So if I seem distracted, you know why. Wallace calls for the bell. Ding! Ding! Windsor moves in quickly as soon as the bell has rung, not giving his bigger and slower opponent time to react. He slams a huge roaring elbow into the chest of the big man. Akhlot doesn't move back with it. Windsor then springs it around into a huge European uppercut. Then another one, then another. Finally, Akhlot moves back a step. Ben Price, the huge Akhlot Flonot, isn't easy to get moving if he doesn't want to move. Windsor manages to push Akhlot back to the ropes and then whip him to the other side. Windsor ducks under an attempted clothesline, hits the other side and then catches Akhlot with a huge knee to the midsection. When Akhlot bends over, Windsor grabs his head with a front facelock and then pulls him over to the Bastard's corner. When he's close, he drops him down with a DDT. He then tags out to Riott, who come in and hits a backdrop senton on the big man. Both bastards then start to stomp on Akhlut's lower right leg while he's face down. Wallace meanders over and then starts a lazy count for them to stop the double team. 1. Ben Price, the bastards are working over Akhlut's leg here. 2. Eddie Vega, Akhlut Flunad is huge compared to both of the bastards. Taking his foundation out means he can't do as much. 3. Wallace raises his voice a bit on his count and warnings. 4. Finally Windsor stops and heads for the ropes to climb out. Riot then starts to pull Akhlut up by his head and hair. Once the big man is up, Riot hooks him up for an eat defeat, but when he drops down, Akhlut doesn't bend down all the way for the impact. Akhlut hooks his arm that had been used by Riot around Riot's hip, then pulls up and then slams Riot down into the corner. Akhlut turns and starts to try to make his way to the other corner, having a bit of a limp the way his foot and leg were worked over a bit just before. Ben Price, looks like they've already done some damage to the Seawolf's ankle. Eddie Vega, he needs to walk it off a bit. Riot reaches up and slaps hands with Windsor. Windsor slips back in and drops down into a chop block that targets Akhlut's right calf. The big man drops down to one knee. Windsor comes up quickly and goes to the ropes, to come off with a shining wizard that drops the man down. Riot runs over, and both bastards grab his legs and pull him back to their corner. Riot and Windsor both pull Akhlut up to his feet. Both men turn him around and pick him up to drop him back onto the turnbuckles with a flapjack. Ben Price and the bastards keep it up. Kelia hasn't even been able to get into this matchup. Eddie Vega, they're controlling the battlefield and isolating their opponents. Not easy to do high-risk spot shows when someone uses good tactics against you. Riot climbs out of the ring to the apron. Windsor pulls Akhlut to turn him around and delivers a headbutt that would normally stagger someone. Akhlut doesn't look fazed with it. He actually smiles and then headbutts Windsor back. Windsor falls back a couple of steps with the impact. Ben Price, looks like we can add big Hawaiian football players to those you don't headbutt. Eddie Vega, or guys who have a head the size of a watermelon. Akhlut grabs Windsor and with one hand on his chest and the other under his arm, he lifts him up and then slams him down for a spine buster. He then starts to try to head for his corner again. Ben Price, that headbutt might have been the tide turner. Windsor works his way back up to his feet and moves in to stop Akhlut from getting to the other side. He delivers a couple of European uppercuts that hit the taller man only in his chest. Akhlut again pulls back and slams a forearm into Windsor's face, staggering the man. He almost flops over, but Akhlut catches him before he falls down. Eddie Vega, come on Frank, don't try to go power against someone that size. Akhlut whips Windsor to the ropes right next to where Riot is in the corner. Riot slaps Windsor's back to tag in. Wallace signals that the tag was legal. Ben Price, a tag by Rob Riot here. As Windsor comes off, he's caught in a spinning sidewalk slam in the middle of the ring. Akhlut landed a bit off with the move, and as he comes up to his knees to move to a better position to try for a pinfall, Riot is right there to grab him into a side headlock. Windsor rolls out of the way as Riot hits Akhlut with a headlock driver where Windsor had been. Eddie Vega, and there is real teamwork. Windsor rolls out to the apron, and then uses the ropes to pull himself up. Riot takes the opportunity to start to put the boots to the big man while he's down. He ends that with a huge fist drop that hits him in the back of the head. Windsor, on the apron, gets to his feet and looks to be getting ready for something. Ben Price, this match has been basically all bastards all the time. Eddie Vega, were you expecting anything less? Riot quickly gets up and grabs Akhlut's legs. He starts to set up to lock in the locking clamp heel hook. Kelia sets up and springboards into the ring. As she comes off and sails towards where Riot is at, she's met by Windsor, who flips into the ring with his Yorkshire Love lariat. Both Windsor and Kelia drop into the ring in a heap like a car crash. Ben Price, and Windsor makes the save there. Eddie Vega, yes! Riot finishes locking in the heel hook hold, and leans back into it, adding the pressure. Wallace is right there as Akhlut starts to show the hold is locked in. He starts to ask Akhlad if he's going to give up, and he shakes his head no. Frank Windsor sees Kelia start to move for the ropes, and decides to climb partially to his knees and push her under the ropes when she gets near them, dumping her outside to the floor from the ring. Ben Price and Frank Windsor make sure Kelia can't get up to save her brother here. Again, Wallace asks Akhlad if he's going to submit. He says no again, and starts to try to pull himself to the ropes, pulling Riot with him. Windsor pulls himself up using the ropes and looks down at Kelia, who looks to be out of it outside the ring. Windsor turns just in time to see this, and he runs over and drops into a headbutt that hits Akhlad on his collarbone, stopping his movement towards the ropes. Eddie Vega, and instead it's Windsor with a save. Wallace makes a half-assed attempt to warn Windsor for being in the ring and not being legal. Windsor comes up and waves him off as he starts to head for the corner. Wallace shakes his head, and then drops down and goes to check on Akhlad again, but this time, Akhlad starts to tap out. Wallace calls for the bell and then starts to tell Riot he needs to let it go. Ding! 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 Eric Wilson, your winners, the Bastards. Eddie Vega, and your new #1 contenders for the tag team titles. Ben Price, I'm not so sure about that. But that has to be under consideration there. The Bastards head out from the ring, while Kelia makes her way into the ring to check on her brother. The show goes to a commercial. Utter brush it beer. Your life is empty. Our bottles aren't available where all good beer is sold. It comes back from the commercial and we find ourselves showing the ring. Circus Apocalypse by Vermilion Lies starts to play over the arena's PA system. Eddie Vega, finally we're going to get some damn answers. Ben Price, and here comes our president and owner, Armand Von Karas. Eddie Vega, it must be time to hear about what happened with the censored events and everything else. Ben Price, I'm sure we will. Armand makes his way down to the ring, moving at a good pace, but not running or jobbing. He power walks. He's quickly handed a microphone from Eric Wilson as the crowd gives him a fully mixed reaction. Armand takes a moment to light up one of his signature Egyptian cigarettes and takes a long drag off of it as he waits for the crowd a bit. Armand von Kraus, good evening. I'm told you all would like to hear what happened with this whole situation with the federations and Interfed that we have now deemed to be on our list of things that shall not be named anymore on our programs. Ben Price, I'd like to know what happened to 2 pay-per-views mostly. Especially the one where we all saw the CWF pretty much pummel the competition into submission. Eddie Vega, beat them so bad I hear that's why they are refusing to air it. Armand von Kraus, well, we'll put it simple for you all to understand. Between the CWF's talent pool proving in match after match that they were superior, the Reinhardts, Greg Salazar, Abby Dresden, and yes, even members of the Bastards such as Eddie Williams and Rob Riot. But most of all, me. Ben Price, come on, we were all there. Eddie Vega, we were calling matches during the event. He's not wrong. All of those people did beat their non-CWF opponents. Armand von Kraus, I beat their owner, not just the one time at Urban Warfare, not just a second time in the O2 Arena, but a third time in Glasgow, Scotland. And in the end, they decided that it made him look so bad, he decided to fold up his little Interfed, stuff it in his pocket and deny all of you access to those events. Now, I'm sure all of you have gotten your refunds for ordering their 2 pay-per-views that appear to be about to be locked up in some vault to only surface in a couple of years when they're closed, broken down, destitute, and that man is desperate for money and he sells them for a pittance of what my performance, sticking up for CWF, would be worth. Ben Price, kinda harsh, but also I strangely find myself agreeing with him. Eddie Vega, I just want to know who is going to get my money from my bookie. I mean the sports book next to the new offices. I put a lot of money down on all of those matches, but they say they're not going to pay out until the shows are aired. Ben Price, that's harsh, man. How much? Eddie Vega, my re-signing bonus. $10K, man. Ben Price, ouch, you only got $10K? Eddie Vega, yeah. Wait. Why do you say only $10K? Ben Price, nothing. Armand von Kraus, so the cowards that they are, instead of showing you all how dominant the CWF was at their events, closed up shop, and now refused to air the events. Not even their Fed-based pay-per-view, which saw more CWF talent destroy their competition. But remember, in the end, it was the fact that they were outclassed and outfought and dominated that they are not what they were. They proved my words in so many ways. Most of all, that their owner couldn't run an outlaw backyard mud show, let alone a major federation. And his talent couldn't stand up to the conquest. As Armand says, conquest, another song plays over the PA system. Godsmack's straight out of line. Eddie Vega, what's McClancy got going on that he needs to interrupt Von Kraus? Ben Price, well, I'd imagine that we'll find out in a couple of moments. Blaze McClancy, wearing his signature jeans, sport coat, and 4 Wins Academy t-shirt, comes out from the back. He's carrying a clipboard and a microphone. He also power walks to the ring, to climb up the corner steps and step into the ring. Armand von Kraus, I was in the middle of something out here. Specifically talking about how the CWF ruined that Interfed and the other federations. You know, the one you were hired to run a division in. Blaze puts his hand up. Blaze McClancy, I know what you were doing. But, fortunately for the fans, and unfortunately for you, I have to interrupt. Armand doesn't look happy with this, takes another drag off his cigarette, blowing the smoke out slowly. Armand von Kraus, why? Especially when I said I wanted this time to explain things. Blaze gives a bit of a grin. Blaze McClancy, well, to start off. To corroborate your claims, but also to give some legal insights. I have been sent an email from the court with their side, and they demand that some points that you are going to omit or gloss over be covered as well. Sorry, a bit unscripted, but I have to listen to them as well. Armand nods, knowing he doesn't want to get into anything dealing with the court case. Amron von Kraus, well then, if it's from the court, then I guess you should proceed. Blaze nods to him, and then holding up the microphone, and reading from the clipboard, starts to speak. Blaze McClancy, I'll not bore you by reading word for word. But, as we know, the CWF has been involved in a court case between the parties that we all saw during Season 1. The benefactor who held the position of president, Mr. Lazarus the general manager, and Ms. Lazarus the chief financial officer. Armand actually motions for him to get to it. Blaze McClancy, so the court has now settled that issue. In doing so, it found that based on agreements made, the benefactor did not own all of the company. Armand von Kraus suddenly looks agitated. Armand von Kraus, but I paid for the whole thing when I bought it from the benefactor and sent him. Blaze McClancy, that's what you get for not doing it before the court case was done. It was found that he didn't own all of it, because he had agreed to a partnership with Mr. Lazarus and had given Ms. Lazarus some of the company as well. Ben Price, wait. That means... Eddie Vega, hold on. Blaze McClancy, the good news is, after over a year in legal proceedings, both of the Lazarus parties had decided to sell their parts. Well, they might have been told they should sell all of their parts after everything had gone down. The paperwork for this was filed back a couple of months ago. The new incoming co-owners are the ones that started a legal audit on our dealings with the Interfed. Blaze enhances that last word with an attempt at air quotes with his hands partially full. Ben Price, well, that makes sense. New business deal, and you want to know what it entailed. Eddie Vega, have to agree, especially after we saw what they were paying people who utterly sucked. I mean, that guy that Eddie beat in London was the drizzling shits. And he was their all-Interfed hardcore champion. Armand von Kraus, who are they? Blaze McClancy, I'll get to that, as best I can. I'm in the middle of telling people what happened. So, the court ordered an audit of the Interfed. The feds were supposed to be all paying our fair share to help facilitate stuff like the pay-per-view we are now not seeing. It ended up that the Interfed was using funding by CWF to give large loans to the 2 other federations, instead of them paying in. To break it down to easy speak, CWF was paying people like Abigail Dresden, but also paying me and Turfed for membership, which they then funneled to the other feds who then paid Abigail Dresden a huge contract as well. So the CWF was being double-dipped when it came to their talent. Basically using the CWF's money to try to rob us of our talent. Eddie Vega, that's ingenious. With one exception. Ben Price, what's that? Eddie Vega, well, only an idiot would put stuff like that actually in the books to be found by an audit. You don't do white-collar crime like that with a paper trail. Armand von Kraus, so they were stealing from us? Do I need to get my lawyers? Blaze McClancy shakes his head. Blaze McClancy, the others have already started the process. Especially with the closure of the Interfed and the on-airing of 2 pay-per-views. Apparently the 02 Arena is also going to be going after them for the move, as they didn't get paid for the use of the facility. Von Kraus glares at McClancy a bit. Armand von Kraus, so, now you can tell me who they are? Blaze McClancy, sadly for you, I don't know yet. I see them listed as Party B and Party C. You're Party A. But I've also been informed, and told to tell you, that they will be at the next Warzone in Tacoma. Where you will find out when I do. The good news is, I've been asked to stay on with the CWF on behalf of them for a bit to assist with the transition. Since I've been working with you for the last year now. Armand von Kraus, how fortunate, for both of us, then. Ben Price, 2 new co-owners to be revealed next Warzone. Eddie Vega, who would that be? But we have closure to the ownership scandal, the Illuminati. Yes, we're real. Keep silent though. It's a secret. The show comes back, again to the announcing team. Ben Price, Season 3 is truly a new era for the CWF. Eddie Vega, and we have proof that the other feds we were working with were basically fraudsters using our money and talent to try to bypass stuff like hard work and actually producing their own stuff. Ben Price, well, I have to agree with Armand then. We not only beat them in the ring, but ratings, and I guess also in the office. The 2 new owners started the legal process that caught them in their embezzlement scheme. Eddie Vega, in that case good riddance to bad rubbish, right? Again, who puts shit like that in the books to be found out by an audit? They're lucky the CWF found it before the IRS did. Ben Price, sucks for some people though. Last cycle we dedicated an entire Vanguard and Warzone to the Trios titles, a show cycle later, and no more Trios belts, and no Trios match at Shadow Warfare. Eddie Vega, that does suck for the bastards. Ben Price, well, that brings us to our next match. Another team screwed over by this all. The Reinhardts should be coming out here with the censored Triple Crown Tag Team Championship belts as well. Eddie Vega, as much as I hate to admit it, that is the case. Team Reinhardt should be coming out here with another set of belts right now. Ben Price, well, Armin's chosen tag team, the Carnival of Shadows, earned this title shot at Urban Warfare. Can they claim the CWF tag team titles tonight? Eddie Vega, let's hope so. Eric Wilson, ladies and gentlemen, the next match is a tag team match and it is for the CWF Tag Team Championships. Introducing first, the challengers. Hailing from Paris, France and Siberia, Russia, respectively. Weighing in at a combined weight of 460 pounds, they are the Carnival of Shadows. As the eerie melody of Carnival of the Damned begins, a mist of deep blue and crimson creeps across the stage. The arena lights flicker as if reacting to the haunting Carnival tune, casting shadowy silhouettes. Marquis de Harlequin and Katya Karnavalka emerge from the fog, their figures entwined in a macabre dance as they embrace and share a long passionate kiss on stage. They move with a choreographed grace, their steps telling a story of a love woven in darkness and danger. A spotlight follows them to the ring, their combined shadows stretching out like a dark omen. Upon entering the ring, they execute a theatrical bow, an invitation to the audience to witness the spectacle they are about to create. Ben Price, and I'd say these guys are really weird, but they work for Armand von Kraus directly. I would suppose that rubs off on you after a while. Eddie Vega, you can say that again. Actually, don't. I don't want us to mysteriously disappear either. Eric Wilson, in introducing their opponents. They are the reigning and defending CWF Tag Team Champions. Hailing from Dresden, Germany, and weighing in at a combined weight of 480 pounds, they are Kara and the CWF Conquest Champion, Cronin. Team Reinhardt. The lights in the arena dim and Deutschland by Rammstein plays over the PA. The song starts at about the 1:45-minute mark, and at the 2-minute mark, a burst of pyro goes off in time with the song, and Kara and Cronin walk out from the backstage area. They pause at the top of the rampway and look at each other and nod as they are joined by Raven and Lily, before making their way down the ramp and reaching the ring, Kara sliding into the ring as Cronin steps over the ring ropes. Ben Price, and we have a team that has come out of nowhere to put themselves on the map. In one night at the last pay-per-view, Urban Warfare, one night, Team Reinhardt captured the tag titles and the Conquest Championship. Cronin is now the first ever double champion in CWF history. As Eddie begins to give his remarks, he is cut off by beep, click, beep beep, click. The electronic opening to Manson's Take It Easy, Chicken pipes into the arena, shortly followed by the scream of the opening guitar riff. It's Bastards time. Red, white, and blue lights pick out the entranceway as the crowd stands up, waiting to catch a glimpse of the Englishman. Some of them cheer, some of them boo, but all of them react. The curtains part as a battered old Ford Cortina messily careers its way through the curtains, coming to an awkward stop at the top of the ramp. After a moment, the Bastards step out of the back, taking a second to mug for the crowd. Ben Price, what the hell? What are they doing here? Eddie Vega, who the hell knows? Cronin and Kara immediately turn and focus on the Bastards. Carnival of Shadows does so as well. The three Bastards make their way down to the ringside area. Rob Riot makes his way over to the commentary booth and sits down, taking a headset and putting it on. Rob Riot, gentlemen. Ben Price, you're joining us for commentary? Rob Riot, sure, why not? Before you ask, we're out here to scout. After all, we did just become the #1 contenders to the tag titles. Frank Windsor chases Charlotte Anderson out of her timekeeper position, and Eddie Williams takes the mic from Eric Wilson and chases him off as well. Cronin and Kara watch this, and Cronin advances to leave the ring, but referee Scott Jones stops him and orders him to stay and focus on the match. Lily and Raven, meanwhile, make their way over to Cronin and Kara's corner and keep an eye on the Bastards. Ben Price, well fans, it seems we have an unexpected treat. Former Conquest Champion, Rob Riot. Rob Riot, former. Interesting. I prefer to say, soon to be a 2-time Conquest Champion, but to each his own, I guess. Eddie Vega, well, which of these two teams would you rather face? Rob Riot, don't care. Frank and I can beat either one. The Germans' technical skill makes them formidable, and if Kara was as experienced as Cronin, they would be scary. But she's a rookie. She's the weak link of the team. The court jester wannabes? I'm not worried about them. In the ring, the two teams converse with each other, and Katya and Kara are the ones chosen to start off. Scott Jones takes the tag titles and holds them up and shows them off before handing them not to Eddie Williams but to Eric Wilson, who takes them and makes his way over to the Spanish announce table. Scott Jones looks at the two and calls for the bell. Ding! Ding! Katya starts off dancing proactively and performs with a flourish as she follows her tactic. For her part, Kara stands up straight, blinking confused by this. Katya finishes her dance with a wink and blows a kiss, saying something to Kara, gesturing first to her then to Kara. Kara's face stays the same as she responds with a punch straight to Katya's face that drops the Russian to the ground. Katya bounces up to her feet and is hit again. She falls down and comes up doing her and ducks and dances through the flurry of blows from Kara and ends up behind the German, giving her a sharp spank on the ass. Kara stands up straight and responds by grabbing Katya and bringing her to the mat with a belly-to-belly suplex. Ben Price, well, that is Unique offense. Rob Riot, this is what Armand allows. She is a rookie. She is inexperienced and green as hell. I and my mates are not on good terms with her or her teammates, but she's obviously getting instruction from Cronin. That was a textbook suplex. But are the titles being defended honorably? No. She and Cronin have to defend their titles against bloody clowns who don't seem to understand they're in a fight. Eddie Vega, I think Rob hit the nail on the head. We've seen them holding Gabriel Tuck back too. You would think with his money, Armand could get decent talent on his side. Katya gets up and scrambles to her corner and makes a tag. Marquis climbs into the ring and takes a look at Kara and gives her a courtly bow. He comes out of the bow with a lunging European uppercut, but Kara dodges it and brings him to the mat with a German suplex, bouncing right up to her feet and rebounding off the ropes, jumping into the air and slamming her elbow into Marquis' chest. Instead of going for the cover, she gets on top of him and begins a ground and pound assault as she rains down rights and lefts on her opponent. Ben Price, and the unique offense continues. Kara is trying to stay focused, but it's got to be distracting. Rob Riot, it would seem to me, her opponent's lack of seriousness is pissing her off, as you Yanks would say. Eddie Vega, and here comes something more normal. Katya comes in and kicks Kara in the side of the head, knocking her off of Marquis. Scott Jones gets up and orders Katya out of the ring, distracting him as Marquis recovers and removes a glove, hitting Kara with it, knocking Kara to the mat in a heap. Marquis plays to the crowd and removes a piece of metal in the glove, tossing it out of the ring before Scott Jones turns his attention back to the goings-on. Ben Price, Katya comes in to break up the situation and then distracts the ref, allowing Marquis to get a cheap shot in. Rob Riot, and people accuse us of denigrating titles. Can you imagine these clowns holding these tag titles? Eddie Vega, I imagine it would be an interesting experience. But I confess they aren't exactly what I think of when I imagine a champion. Marquis pulls Kara to her feet and whips her into the ropes. Cronin reaches over and makes a blind tag. Marquis prepares to toss Kara with a backdrop. Kara jumps with the move and manages to land on her feet, taking a moment to keep her balance, but Katya nails her with a super kick before bowing and playing to the crowd. On the other side, Cronin comes in and charges, hitting Marukis with a tackle that sends him stumbling into Katya. The two grabbing a hold of each other to keep each other steady and to grope each other. Ben Price, while the action picked up in a hurry, Cronin made the blind tag. Kara made an amazing move only to land right in a super kick, but meanwhile, Cronin got a shot in on Marquis. Rob Riot, Frank and I would have ended this farce by now. I'm just saying. Eddie Vega, and luckily, us and the fans will get a chance to see that in action, as whoever wins this match has a date with you and Frank Windsor for the tag titles. Marquis rolls out of the ring, taking advantage of the fact that Scott Jones is busy telling Kara to get out of the ring. Katya takes advantage of the confusion to drink down a red liquid and spit it into Cronin's face. Cronin stumbles around the ring, trying to clear the red liquid out of his eyes, and Katya rebounds off the ropes and brings him to the mat with a running bulldog. Katya follows this up with a series of 3 elbow drops and stomp on Cronin's hand as he tries to get up. Ben Price, Scott Jones is pretty hard to distract, but the Carnival of Shadows are proving to be able to distract anyone here, as they have gotten the better of him at least twice now. Rob Riot, I could, and I have, made fun of my future opponent and his sister for their struggles here, but really, what can you expect? One team showed up here for a fight and the other team showed up to prance about in their knickers. Eddie Vega, left for all their antics, they are hanging in there with Team Reinhardt. If Cronin and Kara don't adapt to the unorthodox style of the Carnival, they might be in deep trouble. Cronin makes his way over and tags Kara in and moves to the ring apron, where he finishes clearing his eyes of the mysterious liquid. Katya, who had been playing to the crowd, opens her shirt, bringing a roar of approval from the crowd, and turns, aiming to use her breasts on Cronin, but finds herself facing Kara instead. Kara is surprised by this move, staring for a second or two, but shakes herself out of the daze and hits a number of chops right to the exposed breasts before grabbing Katya and planting her on the mat with her variation of the rock bottom, which also brings the crowd to their feet. Kara covers and Scott Jones drops down and counts. 1, 2. Marquis moves in and breaks up the pin with a soccer-style kick to Kara's head. Scott Jones gets up and forces Marquis out of the ring. Katya grabs Kara and tries to suffocate her with her breasts. Kara struggles, trying to break out of the hold before finally picking up Katya and hitting a sit-out powerbomb, forcing a break in the hold as both women lie on the mat exhausted. Ben Price, and a near fall there, Marquis saving his paramour, and Katya takes advantage of the ref being distracted to once try and suffocate Kara with her mammary glands. Rob Riot, I believe you're the first human I've ever heard refer to them that way. Anyways, while it was an impressive counter from Kara, this is further examples of the bollocks my mates and I and the bastards are fighting against. We're the hated ones? Is there anyone who would be happy to have Bozo and Bimbo the Clown in there as tag team champions? It's a farce that they even have a shot at the belts. Eddie Vega, well, I have to agree there, Rob. Any combo of the Bastards, the Reinhardts, Pacific Rim. Any combo of Bad Company. Valora and Abigail or Valora and you. Team Viper, all of whom I can say I might like them or not like them, but all are. Rob Riot, at least all of them are professional wrestlers who are at least viable champions. Ben Price, well, I have to say you make a compelling case, Rob Riot. But Armand has had trouble with talent. Gabriel Tuck is a competent fighter. But outside of him, they have a Sasquatch and the Carnival of Shadows here. Rob Riot, that's because professional fighters won't work for him. Even pure mercenaries won't tolerate him because he may or may not decide to hold to his promises. Scott Jones begins the 10 count as both Cronin and Marquis call for their partners to tag, and the crowd claps and cheers for the fighters to get up. Kara moves first and, with effort, rolls over and slowly begins crawling towards Cronin. Meanwhile, Katya tries to stand and falls back down. Kara dives forward and makes the tag to Cronin. Cronin charges in and punches Marquis, knocking him off the ring apron, and turns to pull Katya to her feet. She counters with a low blow to Cronin. Scott Jones warns Katya about low blows. She gets up and waves him off and hits a DDT. Katya makes her way over and gets a tag from Marquis as he gets back up onto the ring apron. Ben Price, well, this has definitely been an exciting match so far, and we still wait for one team to establish a clear edge here. Rob Riot, really? The Reinhardts are looking to end this. Cronin came into the match and the first thing he did was eliminate reinforcements. Tag Team Wrestling 101. Katya managed to buy some time, but I don't think it will be enough. Eddie Vega, another excellent point. I have to say, we've had you and Valora both take turns as guest commentators. Your views and insights have been amazing. Rob Riot, we both have over 2 decades in this business. Edward, you learn a few things. In the ring, Marquis charges forward and hits Cronin with a few punches and tries to whip Cronin into the ropes, but Cronin reverses and whips Marquis into the ropes and catches him off the rebound, lifting him up and spinning around before slamming him into the mat. Cronin comes up and plays some air guitar, pacing around as he refocuses his eyes on Marquis. Ben Price, beautiful disaster. Rob Riot, say what? Ben Price, Cronin calls that move the beautiful disaster. Rob Riot, huh? I wouldn't have pegged him as a. Eddie Vega, as a what? What are you? Oh. In the ring, Cronin has pulled Marquis into position and is staring right at Rob Riot, pointing at Riot before he lifts Marquis up as if to hit a powerbomb, but then lifts him a second time, fully extending his arms, holding Marquis high about his head before planting the man with a thunderous slam on the mat, taking a knee, never taking his eyes off Riot as he pins Marquis with a single hand. Ben Price, death by metal. I think he might have broken Marquis with that. Eddie Vega, I think there's a bigger story, Benny boy. Scott Jones counts. 1, 2, 3. Cronin jumps to his feet and moves to the ropes looking at Riot. Cronin Reinhardt, come and get some. Rob Riot, oh, I most definitely will. Soon enough. Keep my belt nice and polished for me, will you? Good lad. Eric Wilson comes in with the tag title belts as Eddie Williams stands up. Eddie Williams, and the winners of this snooze fest and still temporary tag champs. Team Wait. You're East German, right? Guess that would make you two Team Kami, given when you were born. Cronin and Kara look at each other and roll their eyes in unison, and Eric Wilson hands Cronin a mic. Cronin Reinhardt also makes Kara and I hear tag champs and me the Conquest champ. Which makes you three a trio of chumps with no titles. Ben Price, well fans, the bastards seem to be heading to the back of their own accord while Lily and Raven have entered the ring to stay with Cronin and Kara. But damn! I can't be the only one who wants to see Cronin and Rob Riot one-on-one. Eddie Vega, anyone watching this show who doesn't want to see that has no sense of great wrestling. Mark my words. Cronin versus Rob Riot. Should be another instant classic right up there with Rob Riot versus Greg Salazar. Ben Price, it does seem like we are set to continue our history of great matchups for the Conquest title. After the bastards make their way to the back, Cronin and Kara climb out of the ring as the show cuts to its last commercial of the night. Thames. A global mail-order company named after a famous river. Definitely, no slave labor involved. The show comes back and we're in the ring with Eric Wilson. We hear the announcers over their mics. Ben Price, we're scrambling for time here, everyone. So we're going to cut right to tonight's main event. Iro Waters in his second defense of the Valor Championship against Abigail Dresden. Eddie Vega, Valora Salinas' daughter, confirmed. And someone in the middle of the whole situation with, censored. She had even swapped sides during the trio's matches and had represented the other side. Ben Price, well, she has challenged and earned the right to go after the Valor Championship tonight. But she also got wrecked in everything. She had claimed 2 titles over there and was almost ready to maybe claim a third. Eddie Vega, she was on a roll, and no one can deny that the Riot and Salinas DNA in her gives her some natural talent in the ring. Iro Waters has his work cut out for him tonight. Ben Price, let's go to Eric in the ring. Match 9 Valor Championship match. Abigail Dresden versus Iro Waters copyright. Eric Wilson, ladies and gentlemen, the next match is our main event of the evening and it is for the CWF Valor Championship. Introducing first, the challenger. She hails from Swansea, Wales, United Kingdom. She stands 5 feet and 9 inches tall. She weighs 175 pounds. She is a member of the upstarts. She is Abigail Dresden. The arena darkens and a mist begins to form around as Phoenix by Fall Out Boy plays over the PA. Abigail emerges from the mist, pausing at the entryway as she looks over the crowd and then takes a deep breath, looking at the ground before jumping as she pumps her arms to get the crowd fired up before she then unleashes a flurry of warm-up punches, ending it with a roar as she jumps into the air and punches the ground, a blast of pyro going off behind her as she makes her way down the entryway, greeting fans and the like before reaching the ring and jumping up onto the apron and slingshotting herself over the ropes, rolling up to her feet and throwing a few more warm-up punches before moving back to her corner to await the start of the fight. Ben Price, Abigail Dresden making her way to the ring and her tenure in, redacted, doesn't seem to have hurt her as the crowd is behind her a bit. Eddie Vega, yeah, well, I heard her attempt at clarification. I suppose since she is still here and not working with a certain company which we will not mention on air. I suppose that company took advantage of these kids. But that's all the more reason their rebellion is out of line. You don't see Valora Salinas or Rob Riot falling for such obvious trickery and shady dealings. No! They've got experience. They know when something is too good to be true. Eric Wilson, and her opponent, he is the reigning and defending CWF Valor Champion. He hails from Paradise, California. Standing 6 feet, 3 inches tall and weighing in at 230 pounds, Iro Waters. The crowd also cheers for Iro Waters as Built to Last by the Protoman plays over the PA. Iro Waters comes out and casually makes his way down to the ring, fist bumping a few fans as he makes his way into the ring and takes his belt off and hands it to Ashley Beaton, the ref, who shows the belt to Abigail and holds it over her head. Ben Price, and this should be an interesting matchup. Two fan favorites squaring off. Eddie Vega, yeah, wait. What the fuck? Abigail has extended her hand to Iro. Iro looks confused at first and holds up a fist, and Abigail changes and the two fist bump. Ben Price, Abigail tried to shake hands, but Iro seems to prefer the fist bump. But a nice show of respect. I'll remind the fans that this is what the Valor title is supposed to represent. Pure wrestling. Fair and sportsmanlike competition. Abigail Dresden or Iro Waters, who is the better fighter? Eddie Vega, I'd like Abigail a lot more if she really did take after her parents. You'd never see any of them doing this soft shit. Ben Price, last week. Valora defeated Steve Murdoch in the parking lot brawl. Patted him on the shoulder and said, and I quote, respect. Eddie Vega, fuck. Ding! Both fighters come out of their corners and Abby takes a boxing stance and Iro throws a few punches, but Abby ducks and weaves, dodging out of the way of the punches, and tags Iro with a series of 3 left jabs and right cross. The jabs send Iro's head rocking slightly with each blow, and as the cross comes in, Iro moves to block his head, but Abby switches in mid-punch and hits Iro with a body blow that doubles Iro over. Abigail grabs Iro and plants him with a DDT. Abby gets up and roars out to the crowd as they cheer for the beginning offense of the match. Ben Price, and once again, Abigail gives an example of those educated fists of her. By all accounts, that is Valora's influence, as Valora began her fight training as a boxer, and Abigail's boxing stance is very Hispanic and not so much what you expect from a British boxer. Eddie Vega, I'm calling bullshit. You can't convince me there are different styles of throwing fists. Ben Price, put money on it. Eddie Vega, alright, smart guy. Boom. 50 right there. Ben Price, Hispanics, and also Irish boxers, tend to rely more on speed and finesse. Rather than big powerful punches, they stress hand speed. Rather than outright blocking a punch, they emphasized making their opponent miss. By contrast, British boxers, much like British wrestlers, tend to focus on technique. In other words, a Mexican boxer like Valora is going into the ring to knock you out. A British boxer is usually taught to score points. I'll take that. Eddie Vega, damn it. Iro Waters gets to his feet, shaking his head as he tries to recover from the offense. He then charges, but Abigail dodges backwards, Matrix style, and Iro's clothesline attempt misses. Iro hops onto the ropes and springboards off into a moonsault, hitting Abigail as she comes back up from her dodge, and both wrestlers end up on the mat after the move. Iro rolls up to his feet and pulls Abigail to her feet and tries for a vertical suplex, but Abigail avoids the move and slips behind Iro. She begins as if she is going for a German suplex, lifting Iro up and hitting a backbreaker, the force of the impact causing Iro to arch his back and writhe on the mat, but the bigger athlete coming down on her knee brings Abigail to the mat as well, holding her knee. Ben Price, Abigail showing some flexibility there as well as a keen ring sense to just feel trouble coming, and Matrix dodged the clothesline. But she left herself open for the moonsault and Iro hit it to perfection. Eddie Vega, and then Abigail tried for a backbreaker and learned the hard way that 60 pounds of weight difference doesn't feel good coming down on your knee. Abigail gets to her feet, stomping her foot on the mat trying to recover from the backbreaker. Iro uses the ropes to pull himself to his feet and rushes towards Abigail, grabbing her into a full Nelson and lifts her up and plants her neck first across his knee, moving right into the cover. Ben Price, Dragon Install. Iro Waters takes advantage of Abigail trying to work out the problem in her leg and is able to hit a major move. 1, 2. THRNO. Eddie Vega, to be fair, it was probably a little early, but hey, nothing wrong with forcing Abigail to expend energy to kick out. The crowd cheers as Abigail kicks out. Ira Waters gets up and grabs one of Abigail's legs and begins to lock in a single-leg Boston Crab. Abigail sees what's coming and immediately pushes up and tries to prevent him from locking in the hold. Iro makes a couple of attempts and realizes he isn't going to get Abby and keeps hold of her leg as he begins to watch her get up to 1 foot and turn to face him as he sets up for a dragon screw whip, but Abigail catches him with an enziguri kick that stuns Iro as he stands dazed in the ring for a few seconds and falls face first onto the mat. Ben Price, oh man! Iro tried for a single-leg Boston Crab, but Abigail avoided it and nailed him with a vicious enziguri kick. Eddie Vega, I think Iro needs to start throwing his weight around. Literally. He's bigger than Abigail. He should use that. In the ring, Abigail plays to the ground, pumping her fist in the air as she stomps her foot on the mat twice. Ben Price, Abigail seems to be gearing up for something. Eddie Vega, this should be good. Iro does a push-up and gets to his knees, and just as he gets to his feet and turns to face Abigail, he's greeted with the sight of Abby jumping into the air, hitting him flush in the head with a Trouble in Paradise-style jumping spin kick that knocks Iro back down. Ben Price, flying dragon kick. Eddie Vega, makes no sense. She's not Asian. Ben Price, 1. That's racist. 2. You do know the Welsh flag has a big red dragon on it, right? Ashley Beaton slides down onto the mat and begins counting. 1. 2. Iro kicks out. Eddie Vega, the match continues as the kick wasn't enough to keep Iro down. Abigail pounds the mat in frustration and gets to her feet, trying to regroup. Iro Waters rolls over onto his stomach and gets to a knee, getting up slowly, shaking his head to clear the cobwebs. Abigail grabs him from behind, but he counters with a back elbow to the head of Abigail that rocks her head back and sends her stumbling backwards. As Abigail recovers, she walks into a boot to the gut that doubles her over, and Iro Waters hooks and lifts her into the air, holding her for a few seconds before bringing her to the mat with a vertical suplex that causes her to arch her back. Iro gets to his feet and nods, moving to pull Abigail to her feet, but she punches him in the gut and follows up with a jawbreaker that brings Iro to a knee. Ben Price, Iro Waters, and Abigail Dresden might not be names you would consider main event level talent, but they are definitely putting on a main event level match thus far. Eddie Vega, yeah, the kids have some talent. Let's not put them on the same level as the real main eventers like Valora Salinas, Rob Riot, Frank Windsor, Cronin, or a Greg Salazar, to name just a few. Abigail and Iro lock up in the middle of the ring, and after a brief struggle, Iro puts his size to work and pushes Abigail back into the corner, where he proceeds to hit her with a series of knee strikes that lift Abigail off the ground slightly with each impact. He then lifts Abigail up and sets her on the top turnbuckle, climbing up after her before Iro hooks her and brings her back into the ring with a superplex that hits with high impact and leaves both fighters writhing on the mat and the crowd breaking out into chants of "Holy shit!" Ben Price, big-time superplex there by Iro Waters. My God! Eddie Vega, but it took just as much out of Iro. He can't take advantage. Both fighters slowly get to their feet, and Iro tries to lock Abigail into a full Nelson, but Abigail hits Iro with a couple of elbow blows to the gut and one to the solar plexus that doubles Iro over. Abigail charges forward to the ropes and rebounds off of them and builds up a head of steam as she reaches Iro Waters and uses her momentum to help her as she launches into and plants Iro Waters onto the mat with her version of the flip pile driver. Ben Price, swan song. That's gotta be it. Abigail built up momentum from the ropes, and Iro just went on a wild ride with an abrupt ending. Eddie Vega, that is a cool move, I'll give her that much. Ashley Beaton slides into place to make the count as Abigail pins Iro Waters. 1, 2, 3. Ding! Ben Price, she does it. We have a new Valor champion as Abigail claims her first title in CWF. Eddie Vega, well, it took her enough tries. Maybe her run in that other company wasn't just beating up on inferior opponents. Eric Wilson, ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the match, by pinfall, and the new CWF Valor champion, Abigail Dresden. The crowd cheers as Abigail is handed the belt and drops to her knees, resting her forehead on the belt. She then makes her way over to Iroh as he and his team are recovering from the end of the match, and she holds out her fist. Iroh hesitates but bumps her fist and points to the belt, indicating he might be back for it, and Abigail smiles and nods. Ben Price, sportsmanship. This is what the Valor division should be. Abigail congratulating the former champion on a great match, and the former champ passing the torch onto the new champ. Eddie Vega, now we're going to see just how good this little upstart is. Can she make it 5 matches? I bet not. Ben Price, but if she does, she gets a shot at any belt in CWF. Who will her first title defense be against? Join us next Vanguard and Warzone to find out.